make it into office and be able to do the things they want to do. But I feel like there are campaign tactics that would be really easy to get away from, hinder their ability to get elected.
Yeah, I mean, I think there's a lot of things that you say there that I agree with. Some things I don't, but I think that you are right from the standpoint that we are a lot of times to rehearse, and I think that's really clear. I think that some give the best things. I think that you know Kamala had 100 days. You know what I mean? And I think that it is difficult to run a campaign with apparatus and stuff like that in 100 days. And I think that's kind of hard. I think that we would have been better served if we just said, this is the same process Republicans have. It's the same thing. If Donald Trump rolled over, then the Republicans would say, look, legally JD Vance would have a $200 million advantage over everybody else, so he would be the nominee. And I think we could have just been, just more upfront and honest about that. But I think that Kamala did as best of a job as we could have. I think given what we knew then about the environment, and I think that a lot of the revision kind of look back stuff is only after looking at the results, and then we see, look, well, it's very true that people didn't get our message, and I think that making sure that we are unapologetic, going out there, speaking just off the top of the head, I think is how we can really connect with people. In regards to Colin Allred, um, you know, we've been losing in Texas for a long time.
Yeah, absolutely.
We've lost 156 straight statewide elections. And could you imagine if the Houston Texans went 0-17 for one season, let alone two, let alone 10, let alone 30? 30? I mean, that's basically what's happened. We went 0-17 for 30 straight years. So, if this was a football coach, we would put Ryan straight out of town. He wouldn't even get halfway through the season. We say 10 games in, buddy, you're out of here. Pack your bags. So why is it that we have higher standards for our football leadership than we do for political leadership that has been in place for such a very long time? And I personally believe that the issue is that we are not turning out people inside of our cities. I think that we have spent hundreds of millions of dollars, if not billions of dollars, to flip people that live in the middle of nowhere, Texas, and that are never going to vote for us. I'm just going to be honest. And as a result of that, districts like mine, Texas 18, which is a Democratic district, but we have around 50% voter turnout. Well, if the middle of nowhere is turning out at 65%, and we're turning out at 50, well, that number there is going to be hard to overcome. So what we need to be in the business of is reaching people, I believe, in our deep blue districts and turning them out and get to the polls. And I think that means more than just only talking to primary voters for 85% of the cycle and then at the very end talking to everybody else. We've got to be engaging people online. We've got to be engaging people inside of groups. We've got to be engaging people, on TikTok, social media, getting involved in cultural aspects of life and not just being around. We've got to be relentlessly focused on getting our ideas out. And I think that when we do that, that's how we can really change the tide. The same old stories is not going to get us out of here. The same old consultants that got us here are not going to get us out. We've got to have a complete new slate for a lot of folks. And we've got to be able to make sure that we go in and do things different. Because I'm just going to be honest, the political class has had their turn and they've lost for 30 straight years. And I think that it's time for the people to now have our turn to change this tide.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I definitely agree with all that. And I can say, like, as a student, there are so many, classmates I've had who are just, single issue voters. And they were like, I'm not voting for Trump, but I'm not voting for Kamala. I'm just not going to turn out. And, I think it would be wonderful to see more of what you're talking about. Because there are so many people like that in big cities that just don't show up. And that's really where that race was lost, and that's where a lot of these races are lost.
I mean, I see it all the time. I mean, we've engaged so many people. We've got that are getting involved in campaign. We've got you know we've got shoot students that even voted for Trump go and support our campaign, and which is crazy. I can't stand the motherfucker. If I'm just being honest, I call him out all the time. I call him a baboon, whatever it is. But the reason is, I think that there's been this idea in politics and in DC to win swing voters or Republican leaning voters that you've got to pick, spot like
Right.
milk person that is Republican light or compromise on my values, but I'm people because they and that I have their best interests in heart. They might not agree with me on everything, because on elevating the people, any questions, and I'm not scared. I think that that's the kind of Democrats to be able to really beat these guys up and down the.
Yeah. No, I agree. I love it. That's great, man. I'll let you get to more people, but I really appreciate you letting me talk.
Shout out to wow! Shout out to shout out to Danita for the $10 for our campaign. Thank you, Catherine, for the $5 for our campaign. Thank you, Sean, for the $20 for our campaign. Thank you, Patricia, for the $20 for our campaign. Thank you, Jill, for the $15 for our campaign. Thank you, Kristen, for the $25 for our campaign. And thank you, Daniel, for the $50 for our campaign. Guys, we are literally so close. We're literally $100 away from our campaign goal for the night, guys. Thank you, everybody. Hello?
Hi, Isaiah.
What's up?
Can we, I got a new bill for you. I already given you, War Thunder. Already given you Overwatch. I got a new bill.
All right.
Fix all central fucking AC units in Florida, because these bitches suck.
All right. We're going to pass the Fuck Ron DeSantis Act.
Fuck Ron DeSantis.
That's right. And we're going to pass that through, and it'll fix the ACs, okay?
Thank you.
All right.
You are the savior of America.
For the people. All right?
For the people.
All right. Bye-bye, man. Hello?
Isaiah, can you hear me?
Uh-huh.
Hey, boss. Hey, it's my first live. I just downloaded TikTok type shit, right? I see this.
Alright.
I personally think I disagree. And my stance is due to my personal experience, and I'll say this. So I just quit my job in private equity, right? But it took me around bullshit America. And I mean that by buttfuck nowhere, random towns. So I learned how people operate. And I'm curious on your stance. I think most let's say various races who voted Democrat, all of a sudden had a switch now, right? Like, why do you think that happened? For me personally, I think, seeing how they operate and work, their lifestyles have changed now. They're making more money, and that's all that matters to them. It doesn't matter if it's Trump, the orange buffoon, or whatever. Handling their personal needs matters first. I want to know your stance.
Well, and Trump hasn't done that. People are poorer as a result of this administration. But I mean, I guess if I just had to be honest, I think people were lied to. They believed that Trump was going to do something that he wasn't, and he never. He promised them $0 income taxes, but they still pay taxes. He promised them $1 gas, but we don't have $1 gas. He promised them $2 eggs. We have all-time high for eggs. He promised them 50% off their energy bills, but we don't have a 50% reduction in energy bills. So he promised a lot, but he never did any of them. And the reality is that it's just like in 1928. America had to vote for Herbert Hoover to eventually realize his policies were garbage. And then they got Franklin Roosevelt, which put the Republicans out of power for effectively 50 straight years. So,
Agreed.
I mean, I think it's just one of those situations.
And that, and I think that's way too broad of a stance to take. I agree with that fact. I mean, and we can get to the agreement that every policymaker makes certain promises. But let's go a little deeper. You said $1 gas, $2 eggs, that sort of thing. And yes, that's an extremity. Maybe there's certain small towns where it does happen. But what I've seen traveling around, right? I used to live in Chicago, I used to live in Pennsylvania, going back to Georgia now. Personally, I've seen gas prices decrease. I've seen egg prices decrease.
I haven't seen
Grocery
that.
needs decrease
Well,
in the
I mean,
basic sense
that's,
at least.
I
And then
mean,
looking into
but
AI,
you can't say that because you can look at the national average for gas. And the national average for gas is up, so you can't say that
the national average is actually down if you look at the most recent
from January the 20th.
from actually 2 days ago, or actually today. It
From
has
January
actually
the
gone down.
20th.
January the 20th. I'm talking about the most recent report,
Well,
which
but
I've seen
that's
it
what
a
I'm
few
talking
days ago.
about. That's what I'm talking about. I said
I'm
so
talking about a few days ago, actually.
compared to January 20th, it's not down. It's still up. I just filled up my tank the other day.
Mhm.
It was like $3 a gallon. When Biden left office, it was $2.66.
What state do you live in?
Houston, Texas.
Houston. Got it. Okay. What I know from traveling is certain states have gone down, certain states are up, and I think it's just implementation, which just does take a few months. But personally, for me, over the few states I've gone through, it has gone down. Certain
I mean,
groceries have gone down.
but the only thing that Trump has done in regards to oil is effectively sell us out to the Saudis, which is now effectively using OPEC to pump out more oil, which is going to send oil below $60 a barrel,
Mhm.
which in turn is not going to be profitable for oil companies, which in turn is going to result in layoffs. You're already starting to see that, particularly with Chevron and others. So, I
I do
mean,
agree with that. There's a whole lot more truth we can get into with that, with the $60 barrel per thing. I think the bigger issue to focus on is costs will actually go down and down more, but layoffs because of advanced
well,
technology. The problem right now, let me finish
but that's
1 second.
okay.
The bigger problem I think we need to address is not, layoffs. Layoffs right now due to advanced technology actually lead to lower prices because we're getting more advanced. I think the issue I want to talk about or discuss is due to technology being advanced, what other jobs can be created for those people?
But I think it's important to talk about the fact that the oil policy that he has pursued, particularly with OPEC and everything else, to drop oil prices as much as it
Mhm.
is not something that's helpful for the collective economy. Because $1 a gallon for gas is not a good thing. When that happens, is because oil is so cheap and the
Mhm.
economy is so bad. That's why it was only reached during the pandemic. So in order to get something like that, you have to crash the economy. And I
Very
don't
fair.
think that that is a good thing to do.
It's not at all, which is why I don't see $1 gas anywhere. And kind of on the I'm kind of on the side like, why did he say $1 gas? Even though I personally have seen gas prices drop due to certain relationships or so. But every other topic you spoke about, I don't think I'm educated enough to keep speaking on that. So I want to pause it right there. That's cool, but I appreciate the time.
All righty.
Yeah. Thank you, man.
Take care. Shout out to Romo for the $18 for our campaign, and thank you, Danita, for the $10 for our campaign. Guys, we're literally only $80 away from our campaign goal for the night. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Hello?
Hello.
What's up?
Yeah, how you doing, bro? Yeah, read your profile kind of. I see the district you're running at. Question: how do you think you're gonna? Oh, okay. Well, she I don't know what happened with the but it looks like you competition.
I don't.
Not at all.
No.
Okay. Well, I'm gonna say so. Your main platform, since you, which I noticed is 40 Hispanic, 40 African American, um, other white. What would you do to change anything right now? What are the main concerns that your constituents in that particular city, in that particular providence, and what are you going to do to help? And what will you legislation would you pass specifically to help our fellow brown and black people? Since that's what you've been spewing about every single time I've seen you on this live.
More than 50% of the people inside of our district cannot a $450 medical bill, let alone a $3,000 trip to the ambulance, a $2,000 MRI, or anything that happens when it comes to being in the hospital. So one of the best ways that we can do to provide financial of our district is to wipe out medical debt for every single person in our country. I think it's the right thing to do. We can do it for pennies on the dollar, very cost effective, and we can do it very, very cheap. And so I want to do that. Our constituents are talking a lot about the cuts to Medicaid, the cuts to Social Security. So I'm going to be an unapologetic voice to say no cuts for any of that stuff, to tell Donald Trump to get his hands off our stuff. And then I think it's important that as we talk about the jobs of tomorrow, that we're creating a training apparatus to go forward and train people for those jobs. So yes, I'll be talking about tuition-free community colleges that we can use to train people for the jobs of tomorrow, because I think it's very important to do that. I'm also going to be talking more housing than ever before, but then our neighborhoods and using them for rental properties as well. We're going to pay for a lot of the things that I'm talking about by raising the top corporate tax rate from 25%. From 21% to 28%. We're going to have a top corporate tax rate of 28%. That's going to bring in billions and billions of dollars in revenue to pay for everything I just described.
What I heard is that you're going to try to do this. I didn't hear any which you have set forth would like to pass, or any policies in that particular district that's going to help people of brown and black origin. These are all
Well,
general things that you've said. These are all
well,
very
what, well, what I told you is that it's understanding my role as a future member of the United States Congress that makes me one of 500. The reality is that my job is to introduce legislation, to build support for that legislation, and to make sure that it happens. I mean, in terms of what I have direct control over, I will have the best constituent service office in the country. We're going to build on that. We're going to create a text service line in order for people to text their district-related concerns directly to our office, so we can do casework remotely in that degree. We will be working with our veterans to make sure their claims are processed. And yes, we will be working to make sure that our students that want to go to military academies can certainly as well. So yes, I certainly will be working in terms of the things that I'm directly responsible for. But in terms of a policymaker, a lawmaker, I will be proposing legislation that I know will absolutely make a difference in the lives of people.
but I didn't hear any of it.
I just told you.
No, but I said
You might
specifically.
not have listened, but I've already
No,
told you.
specifically for us. None of that. That all what you said is a general politician I've heard through my whole life spew. And then when they get in office, there's two things that they actually have to do. Whoever their donors are, they say, "Oh, you vote whatever they say." And I know this for a fact because I know many of people. I'm from California. I know many people in my local council. I know many people in my local jurisdiction. And this is how they flip flop every time they get into office. They promise this, promise that. They A, B, and C. They promise to give you the world. And once they're in office, it's either the constituents or the lobbyists who they are agreeing with laws that they made that make no sense whatsoever. And like I said, they're in Houston. In particularly, you have over a 80% black and brown population. during this whole time, let's go like I don't know. Let's talk about the last 30 years and the problems.
I can just tell you for a fact that what I told you, see, I don't need any elite establishment or any of that stuff. I have hundreds of thousands of followers across all platforms. I get millions of views a week. That's how we're funding our campaign. If you don't believe me, you can go on fec.gov and see where every single one of my campaign contributions have come from. I'm very open, I'm very transparent, and if anybody wants to know where they comes from, that's where it is. But the reality is that I talked about what affects my district. And that's the fact that 50% of people cannot afford a medical emergency. That's a fact. That's why I want to wipe out medical debt, then also create a government healthcare plan to make sure that it doesn't happen in the future. That's why I talk about tuition-free community colleges. Because why is it that we have all these jobs that are opening up, but we're having to go get people from out of state, out of the city to go in and do those jobs? I want to train the workers in my district to go forward and do those jobs. I talk about what we're going to do to help people get home ownership, what we're going to do to lower the cost of rent. I'm focused on the ideals of my district because that's the people in office. And if you want to about where I stand, gives money to my campaign, you can go on fec.gov. Exactly that I'm the
You should have over 200K in your purse, correct? Okay, so I should already look that up, so I'm just letting you know. Okay, the question that I had for you is like I said, the you talked about community colleges and how they're going to be they're already free for people of low income, correct?
Not always, no.
No, yes, they are, sir. If you're
They're
low
not.
income, no, I'm telling you for a fact that another thing too.
Do you live in the 18th congressional district of Texas?
No, I don't, sir. But I
Know what you're talking
federal.
about?
It's federally funded.
It's
sir.
not. It's not because I know students that are paying.
So FAFSA is not federally funded.
I'm telling you right now, I know students that are paying.
FAFSA is not federally funded.
I'm telling you right now, you might not like the answer though. So I don't know. Maybe California, that might be something you guys got over there, but I'm in Texas, so it's not the same
there's no
thing.
such thing as FAFSA in Texas.
I'm telling you what it
Is there a such thing as FAFSA in Texas?
There are students that have to pay. I mean, what are you up here for? I mean, it sounds to me like you're a very bad op who didn't get the rage bait that you wanted. So now you're coming up here and you're just coming up here just to talk stupid with me. I mean,
I'm just
like, what's the situation?
All I'm asking you is to answer a simple question.
I gave you an answer.
I asked you specifically, so there's no such thing as FAFSA in Texas.
I just gave you the answer. And the reality is that students,
yes or no, dude?
Students have to pay for community college. And as a response of that, I believe in making that tuition free. So that's what it is. If you don't like my answer, then you just go cry on somewhere else. But
I'm not
that's
crying.
my answer.
You haven't answered the question because
I just gave it to you.
If you knew the answer, it would be yes.
I just gave it to you. You don't have to like the answer.
Called a fee waiver, correct?
I just gave it to you. We have students, thousands of people that have to pay for their college tuition when it comes to community college. And the reality is that I'm going to wipe that out. That's what I'm focused on. And if you don't like the answer, then you can just have it as is. But that's how it is. But see, let me tell you what's going to happen. You came here with bad intentions. You came here with bad faith, and now you're going to leave like a dog with your tail between your legs because ultimately you have nothing.
Superfluous, sir.
It is what it is.
The whole argument's been superfluous.
I love it. I love it. Stay mad. Hey, look. Hey, look. What are you related to the two ops that I have? Tell them I said hello, and tell them I'll see them on debate night. Tell them I'll see them on debate. It's not going to work. It's not going to work. That's a good example of the ops. Tell them I'll see them on debate night because they've got a wrecking ball coming for them. And I love how desperate they are in the coming days. You see how they do? I love to see it. I love to see it. They come up here so desperate single time. That might be his cousin. Who knows? Who knows? Thank you, Jimmy, for the $25 for our campaign. W10 for Jimmy. Guys, we are literally $57 away from our campaign goal for the night. definitely, if you guys can, please chip into the campaign. It really does help us. And it helps send a message to every single op. They got to send better ones. They got to send way better ops. I mean, you know what? I would have thought that they would have sent a little bit better. You know, I would have thought that they would have got a little bit better. You know, they. I see my dad in the comments. I told you 100%. My dad's right. You know, I would have thought that they could have paid a better op, but it's just not working. It's just not working. So you know what? You can go back to your little shrimp parties and cocktail parties or wherever the establishment or the elites that sent you here is not going to work. And on Thursday, I'm going to burst the bubble of your person. So it is what it is.
Hi there.
Hello. What's up?
I'm a big fan, and I like everything that I've heard about you since I've been following. I just have one question, and then I could take the answer offline. And it's moving forward with the Democratic Party. Is there a way to plan to not just protect the rights we have now, but codify them? Because it seems like a lot lately we've been following a carrot on a string. And then that's my question.
Wait, say it one more time.
Wondering if you had or any other like young Democrats have plans to like immediately try to codify and expand our rights, getting in office rather than just like you like bargaining tools for votes, or if there's like some kind of plan to do that.
Yeah, so I mean, I 100% support codifying Roe. I mean, I know essentially that because of the makeup of the Senate, it's going to be up to them. We're going to have to get rid of the filibuster, particularly to make sure that we can pass that through. I think it's a federal right. You know, I think that we shouldn't wait for bad court cases. So whether it's through marriage equality, whether that's for healthcare equality, I think all of that stuff is stuff that we're going to have to make sure that Congress is passing. So I'm an absolute hell yes on all of our rights, and I'll be making sure that I cast votes in the favor to do so. So
Thanks.
all right, thank you. Yes, guys, thank you. We are $57 away from our campaign goal for the night. It really does make a big difference. Seriously. Hello? Hello?
Hey, Isaiah.
What's up?
How are you?
What's up?
I'm from a blue state, and I didn't really, excuse me, involve myself in the voting process or anything like that until recently. And I believe that, I've been watching the news and I've educated myself on how things work, and now I'm actively involving myself in making sure that people are aware of how voting affects their everyday life. And I think that a lot of the things that I've learned from watching the news is that the Democrats have a huge issue with communicating with the on a level that people can understand, but not like, okay, if you think about the Republicans, they're like messaging machines, right? They're out, and it's like half of the country was crushed. So this news, I can't even remember what news station because I've been watching so much, but these influencers like in these little booths, and they were like and sending out all of this propaganda. Wondering if you thought it was a good idea to maybe just kind of sort of we still have to be decent human beings and we still have to follow the law. But can we take a little playbook and use it to our advantage so that we can reach the people that need to be reached?
I do think that it will be effective for us to, get our message out in a more compact and succinct way. And I think that we have to make our message a lot more simple. And I do think it's very important. That kind of stuff would be able to make a big difference for sure.
Yeah, because I think there is influence with independent media like Midas Touch and everybody, and we're actually out there kicking. There's parts of social media that are lacking. Like if you go on Facebook, everybody's totally brainwashed. But I think that it's important that we try and focus on being as effective as they are because I feel like the reason that Trump won was because he brainwashed everybody with the social
Yeah.
media and how they are just so effective in their messaging. But yeah, another thing I wanted to talk about was, I don't think people realize the severity of what's happening in our country right now. We're not headed towards autocracy, we're in autocracy. And I think that we have to do what we can to make sure that Democrats are in place so that we can go in and get rid of the people who are causing all the damage and who are but we also have to make sure that people like you are in place because we're tired of hearing people just telling us what they think we want to hear.
Yeah, I
That's
agree.
the reason I stopped voting. I'm registered as an independent. I have Democratic views most of the time. I've only voted Democratic, but I just wasn't interested in voting and in politics because it just seems like politicians were always just telling us what we wanted to hear
Yeah.
and not actually listening to what we wanted.
Yeah. Well, I 100% agree that it is important to continue to vote because what their life was like back when they were born. Before they were born, there was no such thing as Medicare. There was no such thing as Medicaid. There was no such thing as Social Security. There was no such thing as the right to vote for a large percentage of us. There was no such thing as equality. There was no such thing as, fully funded schools. We had outhouses inside of all those things. And I look here 100 years later, and Democrats have done all of those things. So it is through getting good people in office that has changed the course of this country, that has moved our country forward. And every time a Republican gets in there, they go forward and they reverse every single thing that we've done. Democrats do good things, and we have to get more of us in
Right, exactly.
there.
It's really heartbreaking to me because as marginalized communities, we understand the things that are happening. It kind of opened people's eyes to what's really been going on this whole time,
Yeah.
with police brutality and inequality. And, I'm just hoping and praying that we can defeat this slide to autocracy and um unfortunately we're just going to have to go back and fix everything that they did because what they're doing right now is they're
Yeah.
destroying years and years of work that we've done to even just be able to be on an equal playing field, and it's very unfortunate.
That's right. All righty. Well, thanks for
Yeah.
coming on. Okay.
Thanks, I really appreciate what you're doing. Keep doing it. I support you.
Thank you. Everybody, guys, we're just $57 away from our campaign goal, guys. If you guys can chip into the campaign, it would really help us out. What's up, AK?
Hey, man. Quick question. I'm in North Texas, and is your debate going to be televised?
Not this one, unfortunately.
Oh, it's not. All right, cool. Well,
Yeah.
if it is ever, make sure you advertise it so people
Absolutely.
can watch. So anyway, that was it, man. Have a good one.
Absolutely. Thanks for coming.
Good luck.
Thank you. Hello.
Hi, Isaiah. I'm a fan too, and I wish you luck.
Thank you.
Where is our military?
What do you mean?
Like, they are supposed to defend us, and to me, it's like, what is it going to take to get them out there to defend us? I mean, he's ripping apart our Constitution, not following things, threatening judges, a whole slew of things that's tearing our country apart, and they're supposed to protect us. Where are they? And or what's it going to take to get them out to do that?
Yeah. I don't.
Protect us from enemies, foreign and domestic.
Yeah, I mean, the military is not going to go up against Trump. So
Ever?
no, I don't see that coming personally. So
All right. That's really the only question I had.
no, I got you. I don't see that coming. So
What about if he declares martial law or wants to use them against the American people? Will they step back? Will they say no?
I don't know. I think that's what makes it really difficult. I don't know. Yeah. I don't have a straight answer for you. I always try to give straight answers, but to be honest with you, I just don't know. We'll see.
Well, thank you. I appreciate you.
Thank you. All right. Yeah, it's not bad.
Isaiah.
Robin.
Hey. I did the instrumental though. The night going.
It's going all right.
You
No,
you are
it is.
cooking. Say this though. I just want to say this. Tonight, you look like Shrek. I just want to say you look like Shrek. This whole tonight feels like and Shrek when the town came to Shrek because they wanted Lord gone.
We're trying real hard tonight.
And then Three Little Pigs was like, he huffed and he puffed and he blew our townhouse. This is what it feel like. Poor Kyra, Alshima, and Disrupt. They want you to grab your torch and pitchforks. We can't go get Lord Farquaad like that. we can't. We can't go get him like that. We're gonna have to do some other things, but we can't get him like that. I just want to say this though. When they say that Democrats are not doing enough, Democrats are working. Chris Murphy just got in Pam Bondi's ass about her spending. Marjorie Taylor Greene was just called out by Congresswoman Bradley about a picture of an ambassador whom she said put up his middle finger, and that was not the picture. She out right in the moment. This is what I'm calling it out. Doing what Isaiah said, not clutching the pearl. They're calling it in the moment. But we as Americans can do what we are doing. TikToks, Facebook Lives. You were asking, what can you do? Get on panels. Talk about it. If you feel enough, Host a live. Come with facts. Come with sources. It's time to talk. Gotta eradicate the hate. You got to get that hate. We got to get those people out of the White House that are spewing this hate. And that's kind of what I wanted to say. Other than that, educate me. Listen, Slayer has been coming to my panel. Let's talk. And he's been saying to me that, and you tell me if I should kick his ass off my panel. He said that if we want to address taxing the billionaires, we really need to address the Federal Reserve. He said because of interest rates.
No.
Get it?
No. That's no.
Get him off my damn panel.
Yeah, that's ridiculous.
Okay, when you have time, come visit my damn panel between 10 and whenever you get off. Whenever you just have a moment. Is there. And if Slayer is spewing bad information, just come on and just be like, Robin, no, leave. Because that's the end of Slayer.
All right.
All right. See you tomorrow night.
See you later.
Let's cook.
All righty.
Let me play my music. Hold on. Hey. All right, now you can cut me off. Hey.
All right. Thanks, Robin, of course. And W's in chat for everybody. Yes, indeed. Appreciate you. Love ya. Yes, indeed. All righty. Thank you for everybody that chipped into the campaign tonight. I really do appreciate you. I know we're $57 short, but we'll make it up tomorrow. We're going to go to sleep. I am tired.